Welcome to the Raw Spotlight podcast, where we feature inspiring leaders in the B2B space and share their unique stories. Let's get started with the show.
Hi, everybody. I'm Victor Huynh, your host of the Raw Spotlight, a podcast where we feature leaders from B2B businesses, community partners, and the public sector, including transportation, waste management, and environmentally sustainable businesses. Join us as they share their innovative strategies and inspiring success stories. In the past, we've had heavy hitters like Jackie Dilfer from BFC Funding, and also second-generation business owner Rocky Castro on our podcast. So look into our channel and listen to some of those cool stories that we shared in the past. Today's episode is brought to you by Ready Artwork, your trusted partner in B2B digital marketing and public digital outreach. We craft tailored strategies to help your organization grow and thrive long-term. At Ready Artwork, we combine data-driven insights with creative design to boost your online success. Our experts specialize in SEO, digital advertising, web development, and email marketing, helping you unlock new opportunities in the digital world. To learn more, visit readyartwork.com. So today's guest is a true force of nature, Cristina Cordeiro. Cristina is a powerhouse CEO with a heart for children, a brain for business, and a soul that doesn't settle. As the founder of Dream Big Children's Center, she's built more than an ABA therapy organization. She's sparked a movement in underserved communities across Southern California. By day, she's scaling centers and decoding business metrics, navigating legal hurdles, and turning visionary EOS goals into reality. By night, she's a homeschooling mom, planning multiplication games, cheering at horse shows, and curating unforgettable family experiences. Cristina brings startup grit, executive polish, and unshakable mom energy to everything she touches, whether it's launching a TikTok strategy or negotiating a lease. She's always been blending sharp instincts with heartfelt care. Let's welcome Cristina Cordeiro to the show. Welcome, Cristina.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So let's just jump right into the questions.
All right.
And maybe, Cristina, I'd love to start with your story. What inspired you to found Dream Big Children's Center?
Well, let's see. My story goes back to my childhood. I was raised by a mom who was a special needs teacher, and I always knew that I wanted to do something within the field of helping children with special needs. And so I started as a therapist in college, and I worked my way up. I really just fell in love with being able to help families, and I learned about a field called ABA, which is behavior therapy. And so I, just started kind of scaling my own direction through the career path. Eventually, I ended up founding or helping another company to found a new part of their organization, and started from the ground up. And then I realized, I could do this for myself. And so it wasn't as easy as that. I kind of got kicked into it. I had motherhood came in, and being a big part of an organization was hard, along with motherhood. And so founding my own seemed, for some reason, I thought it would be easier, and it has been in some ways, but it's also been challenging, of course. But that was kind of what started, is just wanting to have a business of my own, and wanting to provide high quality services for children, and then to be able to be a mom and to balance all of it, and to do it on my terms. And that's really what inspired me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So you're a CEO, strategist, and operating all in one, right? What frameworks or tools have been key to helping you scale?
That's a great question. My first few years of owning a business, I didn't have any. I kind of just went along with what I knew how to do. I knew how to provide therapy, and I knew how to be a really good clinician. I knew, how to get clients. And so we grew, but I didn't have the systems. And so I quickly started to realize that this is just a big mumble jumble and is not going to go anywhere if I don't get systems in place. And so I started to join organizations and speak with other entrepreneurs and leaders. And I came across EOS, which really was a game changer for me. That's the Entrepreneur Operating System.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helps you from gathering your vision and your core values and taking what you see for the company and putting it into step by step of how you're going to actually get there. So it's a plan. It's not just a dream, which is easy for me. I'm really good at doing the visionary part
Mm-hmm.
and coming up with all these really great ideas. But EOS helped me to put the systems in place that I needed to actually get to those goals that I had.
So from before and after EOS, what was the biggest difference?
That's a good question. I would say one was that we were measuring our success consistently. So we were tracking and every week having a review of our KPIs. When we first started, we didn't even have KPIs. I didn't even know what a KPI was. So I've come a long way. But yeah, just having that weekly meeting where every week I know we're coming together, we're going to see how we're doing. We're working towards a goal. That's the other piece that I was going to say is having a goal and having it broken down into smaller bite-sized pieces that you can meet and that you can measure and make sure that you're on track for success.
One last question about that. At what point did you feel you had to have a system? Like it could be revenue size, headcount, like just for our audience, like who should be considering EOS? Like at what point should they transition from just kind of running things as is and really seriously looking at EOS?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I wish I would have done it sooner. I did it when I was at about 3 locations, and I think I had close to maybe like 70 employees, something like that. Yeah, and so I do wish that I would have done it sooner. I wish I probably would have done it within my first year. As I look to go into other opportunities now, I'm definitely starting with EOS. So I would say, yeah, I would say it's never too early. You know, it can only help. So
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So okay, let's get into the more technical things of what you do. So what is ABA therapy, and how does Dream Big's model differ from traditional ABA centers? Why is it so important?
So ABA therapy is a specialized therapy that's for mostly children with autism, also for children with developmental needs, and that's something new that we've been able to do thanks to changes in funding and state laws. But what it is that we break down, children with autism have difficulties in some core areas, their communication, their social skills, and their what we would call self-help, like their independent skills. And we break all of those core deficits down into small goals, actually kind of like business, right? Where we take something that's really hard and you break it down to small goals and you teach those goals. And so a lot of times things like communication is a big one. Like kids with autism have a hard time communicating. And so, giving them the tools to do that just changes a lot of other areas in their lives. And so that's a big overall overview of what the therapy is. What we do differently is the kids come into our centers. So we have 8 centers throughout California. And the kids come into our centers and we have a place where they have a one-on-one therapist, and it's a fun, inviting, modern, doesn't look like a hospital or a, boring setting. It's a really like the kids look forward to coming and playing with us.
Yeah.
And that's what the therapy looks like. It looks like a big play date, so the kids are playing with their therapist and playing with each other. So it's that really differentiates us, like just that feel of the center and the fact that we focus a lot on the play, on the social aspect of it, that we have that opportunity because a lot of times in the past, what kids were doing is doing therapy in home. And so they weren't able to have other kids to play with, and that made progress slower. And so in our centers, there's other kids that they can play with, and they get to have more of like a typical preschool, like what you would see in a preschool is what you'll see in our centers. So yeah.
Yeah. So other traditional ABA therapies are more like clinical feeling, like going to see a doctor or
Yeah, I mean, the centers, a lot of other centers look more clinical. They look more, either clinical or they look like super overstimulating, like Chuck E. Cheese type of,
okay.
you know.
Yeah.
And so ours are more like softer, calmer, more modern, as opposed to like colors everywhere and lots of stuff, overstimulating.
So
So
somewhere in between the two extremes.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I know you guys operate in underserved communities.
Yeah.
What impact have you seen on the families and the neighborhoods within those communities?
Yeah, it's been really important to us as we've continued to grow that we open centers in places where there aren't a lot of providers. And in California, we are lucky that we do have state mandates that make these services possible for families. But there still are a lot of rural areas where there are not a lot of providers and where families don't know that there is therapy available and that it's, essentially free for them. So it's been a big part of our journey and our continued mission that we're really aspiring to find families who don't know about services, maybe even who don't know that their child has autism or has delays, and being able to reach them sooner because it makes a huge impact on that child. So the younger they start, the better their long-term outcome. So we really want to reach families of young children. Yeah, we've had some really good success. Just recently opened a location in Visalia, which is in
Okay.
Central California. And so we've seen we had one family who's really happy. They have two children who are on the spectrum, and they did not have services before. So they just started with us when we opened in November. And their child, one of them is now starting to talk for the first time, is just excited and looking forward to coming in to dream big. And the mom is just so grateful, and it makes me personally just, it makes me just fulfilled knowing that I've helped just, one family. I know there's many of them who have similar stories, but being able to just make such a meaningful impact on families is makes all of the heartache of entrepreneurship worth it,
Yeah, that's a huge milestone from
Yeah.
speaking for the first time. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the leadership and culture, right? So currently, how big is the team and how many locations? And
Okay.
on such a big scale, how do you nurture culture and leadership across the organization?
Yeah. Okay, so we have 8 locations throughout Southern California and Central now. And we have just a little bit over 300 employees, which is a big number and a lot for me to think about. To be honest, I don't feel like we have that many, only because I've built such a great team of leadership who really help to, keep each of those people, we call them dreamers. So all of our employees are dreamers. So to keep each dreamer connected. So I think that the key has been building layers of leadership and making sure that everybody has somebody who they are connected to, so that they're all taken care of and feel part of the bigger mission of Dream Big.
Awesome. So they all kind of align with your vision. That's awesome. 300 is a lot of people. Like
Yeah,
to be on the same page, that's huge, right?
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, and the bigger you get, the harder it gets to all row in the same direction.
Yeah.
You know, so we used to be a little rowboat, just floating along, and now we're more of a cruise ship. So it takes a little bit longer when we're trying to turn.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's really important that we all that we all know what our vision is. That's part of EOS, right? Is that everybody is aligned with a vision, and so every year we get together and we share what the vision is for the year. and get everybody excited. We get pom poms out and we celebrate and make it fun. That's one of our core values is having fun. So
Yeah.
we do that.
Oh, same here. We have that in our core value as well.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for anyone that's looking to either get in or try to build in the healthcare or education space, what kind of advice would you give them? If they're starting out or if they're kind of trying to scale.
Let's see. I would say make sure you really want to do this because it's challenging. That'd probably be one thing. I would say get yourself surrounded by really good mentors, plug into other groups where you can lean on other entrepreneurs and business leaders and take their advice. Gosh, what else would I say? I would say just be ready for things changing all the time and get comfortable with that. Because business changes all the time and you have to be flexible and be ready to adapt. And, you might have one vision and then you might think that this is what it's going to be. And then along the road, there's hurdles that come your way and you have to be ready to shift gears at all times.
Yeah. It's not if things are changed, it's when they will change, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep. It's constant change.
So I follow you on social media. I see a lot of you're busy, right? So how do you balance your family, entrepreneurship, and education, and how do you maintain that harmony from a day-to-day basis?
I lean on my team a lot. I would definitely say that. I have an amazing team. I just brought on a COO recently, and she's been amazing and being able to, I'd say you definitely have to be able to delegate and trust somebody who also aligns with your vision and who you can lean on to really guide you through and get you through the process. For me, my kids always come first, so I start there, and then everything else grows from that. For the most part, sometimes some days them coming first is me telling them I need to do some things for work because that's what gets us all the things that we have and being able to do this. So they understand. And I think that's been a really valuable lesson for my kids as well to see like mom has a business and mom has to do things sometimes. And so, yeah.
Yeah. The entrepreneur life, like, I don't think a lot of people realize how hard it is to trust and delegate. I mean, it sounds logical, like just delegate, right? But when you're actually in that position, it's really, really hard. So, kudos to you for being able to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. And and now I'm there where I've got this really amazing person, but I've also went through other I won't say other people, but other times where I wasn't able to trust. And so it takes finding the right person, and don't just, don't think that it's easy to do, because that is that we can have a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
Whole thing, right? It's like finding the right person who you can trust. And I think as entrepreneurs, our businesses become our babies. And so it's hard to trust somebody with your baby. But when you do, then it really opens the key to having balance and growing, continuing to grow, because you can't hold on to everything and grow. So.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. So now we talked about your kids, right? So how do they inspire or influence your business decisions?
In every way. They definitely inspire me. I think, seeing them grow up. They are 10 and 13 now. When I started the business, they were 1 and 4. And so they've grown. This has been their life, is seeing mom grow a business. And it's been amazing to see, like, they come up with ideas for the business. They're very much a part of the business, as far as they know what's going on. If we're doing certain events, or we're opening a new location, they give me ideas. My son will always come to my room and tell me about, we should put this type of playground in outside of the New Dream Big, and so he has all kinds of ideas for it. And so yeah, they're definitely a big part of it, and I like having them be a part of knowing what it takes and seeing, and they also see me when I struggle. There's times where mom is going through something that's really challenging right now, and I'll be honest with them about that and share that with them, and having them see me go through the ups and downs of owning a business, I think has been just really foundational for them and their future.
You want to give them a shout out?
My kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick and Lily. Yeah, they're amazing kids.
Okay, I'm sure they'll get a kick out of seeing this on YouTube.
Yeah, they probably will.
So let's kind of dive a little bit deeper there. Was there one thing that they had suggested that you implemented that was successful? Maybe you can share that little story.
Let's see, something that they've suggested. Well, I think things that they've kind of inspired. A lot of when they were younger, they did a lot of pretend play. And so that's really been like the biggest part of our design of our centers is that we have different themed rooms. And so one of them is like Lily's Bakery, and it's a little cafe. And Nick has a little car shop. And so they've inspired a lot of those things.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so let's switch gears and jump into marketing, right? Because that's all part of that CEO hat. So I know you're doing something with TikTok. Maybe you can share progress and some of your thoughts on that. And in general, how are you using social media to break the mold in the space? Because it seems like, it can be a very traditional space, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you doing differently on that end?
Sure. Well, I'll start with what we're doing. So we've done a lot on Facebook and Instagram with finding families, trying to get families to know that these services are available, because there's a lot of not families not knowing, kind of you get thrust into this world of my child has a delay or autism. And so a lot of our marketing efforts have been around that. Like, what do you do when you find out that your child is, needing therapy? And how we've done that is a lot of, we've tried to use a lot of storytelling, telling the story of families as they come through our services and what that looks like as much as we can. We have the challenge of this is a healthcare service, so you can't share, personal identifying information. But you can't just put a story. You can't just put a picture of your client or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, you have to follow. So that's a challenge for us, So sometimes it's just sharing a story with no name. Having models, and my kids have been models in a lot of our content. Now they're too big, but back in the day they were. And so yeah, that's what we've done. We're working now on trying to, we're always working on new marketing. I feel like that's something that, you have to always be changing, right? And so something that we are trying to launch right now is a new TikTok page. And so for two different reasons. One is that we, want to have new families hear about what we're doing. And two is that we need a lot of really young, a young 20-something-year-old therapist. That's our target market. And so for hiring, we also need to connect with that younger generation. And where are they at? TikTok. So we're trying to get in there with that, and we're just starting that process out. So that's been fun, trying to get people on our staff who can, shoot videos and make content. And so that's kind of the journey that we're on right now.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. So aside from just finding families, you do need to, you have 300 people. You're going to have to constantly feed that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is, we can only grow as fast as our staff come on board, because our services are one-to-one.
Right.
So we are in constant need of market to staff, market to families. And so it's a ongoing cycle.
Hmm. And so what's next for Dream Big in terms of growth, services, or innovation?
So we are opening new locations. It's kind of now we've really gotten our model down. We know what we're doing. We know how to do it well. And now it's just find new locations for first actually find areas that are in need of services, then find the real estate and then open. So that's kind of where we are right now, just trying to keep replicating that
Yeah.
and continue to grow. We are looking in the future to go into other states. Right now we're only in California, but we're hoping to continue to keep growing.
That's really cool. We went through this really fast, so I'm gonna pivot
Okay.
and
Okay,
talk
sure.
about something we discussed a little bit earlier about your personal brand. Okay, so what are you trying to achieve and why?
Um, okay. So I I'll tell you a story. I went to a conference recently and walked in the room and the topic was founders and how to scale and sell your business, your ABA therapy business.
Right.
And so I walk in this room and I look at the panelists. Every single panelist was a man. And I look around the room and I know our field is largely female, but all the owners are men. And so I want to change that. I want to get more female founders who are in the room, who are owning what they do, and who are intentionally scaling and who are then making exits. And so, I've grown this business from being at nothing, being at, my own savings account, investing. I had no investors, no partners, just me, and grew it to an 8-figure business and growing we've been 9 years now. And so I've learned a lot along the way, and I want to share that with other entrepreneurs. I want to inspire other women to do the same. I really have a heart for that particularly because I am a woman and because I've done it and I know how hard it is, but I also know that it's possible. And so I hope that I can play a part in making that change.
Yeah. I don't know if this is common, but common knowledge, but for myself as well, like my business partner, is Emily, and she has a podcast series called She's Got Hustle. So
Oh,
very similar. She's trying to find, maybe you guys can do another episode, right? Talking
okay.
about from that angle, that perspective.
Yeah.
Um, but we joined other like business groups, and again, it's very male dominated.
Yeah.
So I make sure I bring her into those conversations and go, hey, this is my co-founder, this is my business partner.
Yeah.
And I think women need to have more representation.
Right.
There's the minority aspect of it as well, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes,
So
that's the other piece of it that I didn't
yeah.
say, that there was no minorities, there was no people of color. And so I definitely feel strongly about wanting to make that change. So
Yeah, it's the whole visibility, right? It's not it's really just getting out there and being represented. We are part of the market, right?
yeah. Yeah,
We're the customers, we're the clients, we're the service providers, but sometimes at the leadership, we don't see a path there because
exactly.
well, we don't, all this big CEOs, don't look like us. So
Yeah.
there's something to be said about that, right?
Yeah.
From the from the cultural standpoint and also from the gender
Right.
standpoint. Yeah.
Right. And I hope that we're making that shift for our kids. I know you are as well.
Hmm.
As I think your first, if I know some of your background and you're also first generation here in the United States. And so, yes, that is definitely part of my mission and part of what I want to do is to change that to represent my culture and to represent my gender, the women, to represent
Yeah.
women in business, and for our kids to see a different story. To walk into the room and to see people that look like them.
Yeah. So what are you're starting your own Instagram handle?
Yeah, so I have my Instagram handle. I just
Okay.
started. It's Christina Dreams Big.
Okay. Well, nice.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to share about my journey, as I have been today, but just sharing about my journey in more depth, about, the struggles, about how I've overcome things, the mistakes that I've made, and hopefully share those. And I think that you know we it's good to be honest about the things that are challenging, and not to paint this as easy, because people sometimes look and they say, oh, you've done this, and you make it look easy. And I'm the first to say, no, it's not easy. And and I made a lot of mistakes along the way, so hopefully I can help people to not just inspire them to do it, but also to know that it's going to be hard, and that's okay.
Yeah, that authentic, transparent, like behind the scenes stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's what people really care about. They really want to, learn.
Yeah.
Because the nicely curated stuff, it's all rainbow and sunshine. It's like, it's nice and all, but where you start seeing traction is when you start sharing like the stuff that went wrong, right? All all the things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also I think just knowing, like, being able to relate to someone else, like, it was hard for them too, and they overcame it. I think that helps people to just feel connected. So
Yeah. Yeah. I feel, I don't know if it's, for a long time, at least when I started, people were afraid to share like
mhm.
their failures, or they're afraid to share knowledge. Like, oh, someone's
Yeah,
gonna learn my secret sauce and they're gonna make more money than me, right?
exactly. Yeah.
I just feel, I don't know if it's a generational shift or just getting to a certain level, but you're actually getting more by being more transparent, right? By being
Right.
giving. Uh,
Yeah.
so I've seen that big shift. It could be partially cultural, it could be change of times, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, like the economy is big enough to support everyone, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you sometimes you have to check yourself with that, like, scarcity mindset, because
Yeah,
sometimes you do think like, oh, well, I can't share this piece because, what will differentiate me. But I think that there's enough room for everybody, and there's enough to go around, and you can share, and everybody's going to do it differently. So, it can only help.
yeah, yeah. I 100% agree with that. That's why like I joined the group of all agencies, like where
Mhm.
everyone's just sharing, this is exactly what I do. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I've never experienced that in the past, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that I think I think you're onto something, like with the personal brand and kind of sharing
Yeah.
what actually happens. It'll be pretty
Right.
cool.
Yeah, and we'll see where it leads. I think one thing I've learned is that you start off at point A, and you think you're going to go to point L, and you end up all somewhere else, and that's okay. You just embrace it. So with this, I'll see where it goes. Like, as of right now, I'm just excited to share. Excited, and also a little scared, to be honest. But looking forward to sharing what my journey is, and then seeing where it takes me. So
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
quite
cool.
sure where that will be yet, but I always say, like, you have to, if something scares you a little bit, that you're on the right track. So this
Yeah.
scares me a little bit, and so I'm like, okay, this is good. It's time to be a little bit scared,
Mhm.
in a good way.
100% agree. I'll be watching. So we're gonna share your IG handle and your LinkedIn, right? In the descriptions. Um, and I want to thank you for sharing your journey today, right? The passion and insights. You've not only built a successful business for creating a vibrant movement that uplifts children, families, and entire communities, even within your industry, right? So to learn more, go to Dream Big Children's Center. It's dreambigchildren.com,
Mhm.
or connect with Christina on Instagram and LinkedIn. We'll share the links. And that's it for today's episode of the Raw Spotlight. Be sure to follow, rate, and share if this conversation inspired you as much as it did me. Until next time, keep dreaming big
Mhm.
and leading with heart. Thanks, Christina.
Love it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Raw Spotlight podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.